All right, everyone, welcome. I'm glad you're all here. Today, we're going to begin our journey into the fascinating world of Mandarin Chinese. And I want you to think of this as more than just a language class. What we're really doing here is we're learning to unlock a completely different way of thinking, of communicating. So let's begin, shall we?
Okay, let's start with a number. Just take a look at this, 1.2 billion. That's the number of Mandarin speakers in the world today. It is the most spoken language on the planet, and not by a little bit, but by a huge margin. So your decision to be in this room, to learn this language, it's not just some abstract academic pursuit. You're opening a door to communicate with a vast, vast portion of the human population.
So let's talk about what that really means, a global language, understanding Mandarin's place in the world. You know, it's about more than just a big number. To really grasp its importance, we have to look at its official standing and where it comes from, linguistically speaking. Now, as you can see, it's the official language of both the People's Republic of China and Taiwan. But what I really want to draw your attention to is its role on the world stage. Mandarin is one of only 6 official languages of the United Nations. Think about that for a second. This means it's a language of international diplomacy, of global problem solving. Learning it gives you access to the very conversations that are shaping our collective future.
And here's something that is absolutely fundamental to understand from the very beginning. Mandarin is part of the Sino-Tibetan language family. Now, for most of you, coming from an English-speaking background, you're used to Indo-European languages. Think English, Spanish, French, German. I want you to set that aside, because the very architecture of this language, the script, the sounds, the grammar, it's built on a completely different foundation. It's a fantastic challenge, one that will genuinely expand the way you think about communication itself.
Okay, which brings us to our next section. And please listen closely. This is arguably the single most important concept we will cover today. The heart of Mandarin, tones. If you want to be understood when you speak this language, mastering tones isn't just a good idea, it's everything. They truly are the heart of the spoken language.
So what do we mean by a tonal language? Let's define it. It's a language where the pitch and the contour of a syllable, how your voice rises and falls, fundamentally alters the meaning of a word. Think about it in English. If I say right versus right, the meaning changes from a statement to a question, but the word right is still the same. That's intonation. In Mandarin, it's different. A change in pitch doesn't just change the emotion or the intent. It creates a completely different word with a completely different meaning. It's an integral part of the word itself. So this brings up a really important question. How can one sound have multiple meanings? Let's take the sound ma. Depending on how you say it, with which tone, ma could mean mother, or hemp, or horse, or it could even be the little particle you add to the end of a sentence to make it a question. So how do you tell them apart? The answer is simple, and it's the thing we're talking about right now, the tones. The tone is the meaning. And I cannot stress this enough. If you take away only one thing from our lecture today, let it be this. Mastering tones is the first and most critical step to speaking and understanding Mandarin. Before we get into characters, before we get into grammar, you must train your ear to hear these distinctions and your voice to reproduce them. This is the bedrock. Everything else we do this semester will be built on this foundation.
Now, I know that can sound a little daunting, but the good news is you are not expected to figure this out on your own. There is an incredibly elegant tool designed to help us. Which brings us to our next section, decoding sound, the Pinyin system. And I promise you, this system is going to be your best friend.
So what is Pinyin? Simply put, it's the official phonetic system for transcribing the sounds of Mandarin using the Roman alphabet, the very alphabet we use for English. It's like a bridge. It connects the characters, which might look unfamiliar, to the sounds. And you'll notice it also includes these little diacritical marks above the letters. Those aren't optional. Those marks are the visual guide to the tones. Pinyin gives you both the sound and the pitch.
Let's walk through exactly how this works. Step 1. You see a character. Let's take this one here. Now, at first, that might not mean much to you. Step 2, you identify the pinyin associated with it, which is yu. And you can see that little V shape, the little check mark over the U. That mark tells you it's the third tone. So, step 3, you pronounce the sound. You know the sound is U, and you know the tone is a falling and then rising pitch. Yu. See how that works? It takes the guesswork completely out of the equation. So, I want to be very clear about this. As a student of the language, the Pinyin system will be your most valuable tool. And please, don't think of it as training wheels that you'll eventually take off. It's not. It's a professional tool that you'll use for your entire life as a Mandarin speaker. For looking up new words, for typing on a computer or a phone. You need to embrace it fully.
Okay, so let's wrap up by summarizing what we've learned today. Think of these as your foundational toolkit. These are the two core ideas you're going to carry with you from this point on.
Let's look at this as the two pillars of Mandarin pronunciation. On one hand, you have tones. Tones determine the meaning of the words. I like to think of tones as the music of the language. Get the tones wrong, and you're just not playing the right note. On the other hand, you have pinyin. Pinyin guides your pronunciation of the sounds. So if tones are the music, pinyin is the map, or maybe the sheet music, that shows you exactly which notes to play. They are distinct, but they work together perfectly. You need both. I know starting a language like this can feel, well, it can feel like a monumental task. The ancient philosopher Lao Tzu famously said, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." I want you to think of what we learned today as that single step. Understanding the role of tones and how to use pinyin, that is your first essential step on this journey. And it's a huge one. So I want to leave you with a question to ponder as you leave today. With these tools, what could you begin to understand? Because what you're learning isn't just a list of vocabulary or grammar rules. You're getting access to a new culture, a different history, an entirely different way of looking at the world. You're building a bridge to over 1 billion people. Think about that. The possibilities are truly remarkable. Okay, that's all for today.